Thank you, Melinda. Good evening and welcome to Business News. The Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has presented a total budget estimate of 1.168 trillion naira for the year 2020 at the State House of Assembly. According to the governor, the budget, tagged Budget of Awakening, will help develop and take the state to a higher level. The proposed budget will be funded by the total revenue of 1.07 trillion naira and a deficit amounting to 97.53 billion naira.
The proposed budget size for year 2020 is 1.168 trillion naira. 1.168 trillion naira. It's to be funded by a total revenue of 1.071 trillion naira and a deficit of about 97.5 billion naira. The budget size will be higher than the 2019 budget by about 34%. Capital expenditure amounts to about 723.6 billion, whilst the recurrent expenditure will be about 441.8 billion, giving us a 62 to 38 capital to recurrent ratio.
Smartphone manufacturer Infinix has launched the latest number of its S-series called the Infinix S5. At the launch in Lagos, the marketing manager of Infinix Mobility Nigeria, Amanda Zhang, says the Infinix S5 comes with a larger screen and more memory options and ups the game in photography and selfies.
Brilliant capture, brilliant view. That's the apt phrase that describes the new smartphone member of the S-series by Infinix called Infinix S5. The country manager of the brand introduces the upgrade in the Infinix S5.
Today, we want to launch the S5. For S5, we will always want to provide better selfie and also to cue the illumination to share and you can see more.
With a larger screen of a 6.6-inch LCD display, a punch-hole screen completely eliminating traditional overhead notch, a camera with 4 eyes, and more memory, and 2 variants called the S5 and S5 Lite. Infinix says this is the phone for mobile photography.
So we are trying to empower more people with more technology and camera such as S5, because Infinix S5 bringing the 62 megapixel selfie with punch hole and cold camera. So actually we are empowering the moment.
The front-facing camera idea is a narrative changer for us. Particularly on all our previous devices, we've always centered our cameras in the middle. So but just to encourage our fans and let them understand that at every point in time it's always all right to redirect or rechange a narrative.
For the Infinix S5 and S5 Lite, a powerful chipset drives the smartphone. And that's where MediaTek comes in.
Every feature, from the display to the camera to the audio, everything requires first supports from the chipset, and then you can enable the feature by building the hardware around it.
The 4 options of the Infinix S5 are available in Quetzal Cyan, Nebula, Black and Violet colors, and will be available in Nigeria from the 12th and 19th of November 2019.
Now let's check out activities on the floor of the stock market. In an unexpected rebound, the market has ended Friday's trading session in the green, regaining almost 3 times the naira value it lost yesterday. Layo Adegoke has a summary for us.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The banking and industrial goods sector led the first trading week in November to end in the positive territory as both counters gained 3.91% and 1.85% each. Tier 1 lenders such as Zenith, Access and UBA are the highest on the list of top trades, with Zenith Bank contributing over 2 billion naira to the total value of shares traded today. In all, 432.47 million shares worth over 5.5 billion naira changed hands in 4,002 deals. At the close of trade on Friday, the all-share index reversed the negative trend seen in the last 3 trading sessions to finish positive by 0.48 basis points, adding 61 billion naira to the equity cap. Custodian Insurance tops a list of 19 gainers by 10%, while Unilever led 11 other losers by 9.47%. That's it on the stock market report. I'm Layo Adegoke.
That's business news for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'm Sanwo-Olu. It's back to you, Melinda.
I'm sure they will. Many thanks, Anne. Australian firefighters have been battling more than 80 flames across the state of New South Wales as crew try to reach out to people trapped in their homes. Gusty winds and heat waves are complicating the situation for many in drought-affected areas. Here's Juliana Olainka with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom in London. Hong Kong police have said they'll make every effort to investigate the cause of death of a university student who became the first demonstrator to die in months of protests in the Chinese-ruled city. In a news conference, authorities denied claims that police were chasing Chow Suk Lo prior to his fall from a parking lot on Monday. The 22-year-old later died from his injuries.
對於今次一名年青人不幸逝世，警方對佢嘅家人同埋佢身邊嘅朋友致最深切嘅慰問，希望佢嘅家人可以節哀順變。警方同香港所有嘅市民一樣，心情都好沉重，好痛心，好難過，因為冇人想見到呢一件悲劇嘅發生。
A graduation ceremony at Chow's former university took on a mournful atmosphere.
Hong Kong people's anger will not be stopped because even the government retract the extradition bill, but the police violence and abuse of power of the police and also of the Hong Kong government is still continuing. So the anger of Hong Kong people, the discontent of Hong Kong people would only continue in this case.
Chow's death is expected to spark fresh protests and fuel anger and resentment against the police, who are already under pressure amid accusations of excessive force as the city grapples with its worst political crisis in decades. The body of a woman has been pulled from floodwater in Derbyshire, a county in the East Midlands of England, as a danger to life severe flood warnings remain in several parts of the country. It comes after a month's rainfall in 24 hours, where dozens of people have been rescued or forced to evacuate their homes. Scores of schools have been shut, roads closed and rail services cancelled due to the severe flooding. Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire businessman and former Republican mayor of New York City, is said to be strongly considering entering the 2020 presidential race. The 77-year-old is expected to file paperwork imminently for the Democratic presidential primary in Alabama. Bloomberg's entry is expected to greatly disrupt the field just 3 months before the first nominating contests. The UN say they're gravely concerned about deaths and injuries in the recent Iraqi protests. The anti-government demonstrations are fueled by economic grievances and are mostly directed at the country's political elite. Over 250 people are reported to have been killed.
Immediate steps must be taken to investigate and prosecute those responsible for these killings, and justice and truth should be provided for the victims and their families. It's crucial that the terrorism charges are not used against demonstrators.
Mali President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta visited soldiers wounded in an attack on an army post in the north of the country this month. 53 soldiers and 1 civilian were killed on November the 1st. It was the deadliest strike against Mali's military in recent memory. Islamic State have claimed responsibility. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has met with the German Chancellor Angela Merkel during his trip to the country to commemorate 30 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall on November the 9th, 1989.
Natürlich ist es für mich auch speziell sehr bewegend, weil ich ja auf der anderen Seite des Eisernen Vorhangs gelebt und studiert habe und dass wir heute enge Partner sind, Freunde sind, dass die Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika uns auf dem Weg zur deutschen Einheit mit George Bush so sehr geholfen und unterstützt haben. Das werden wir natürlich nie vergessen.
So it has been an incredible privilege these 2 days to get a chance to do that, to travel from Grafenwehr to Vilseck to Modleroyd across a line that I wasn't allowed to cross back in 1989. And it reminds me of the importance of the relationship between our two countries. The problems that Germany and the United States have taken on behalf of the world have been enormous.
The monumental act marked the beginning of the end of the Cold War, culminating in the toppling of the East German communist dictatorship, the reunification of Germany in 1990, and the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. And finally, a 17th century discovery at the bottom of the sea. Swedish divers have discovered 2 wrecks believed to be warships that they believe could be linked to the Vasa, an iconic Swedish ship that sank on its maiden voyage in 1628. Despite being centuries old, the wrecks, just like the Vasa, are in a fairly good condition. Marine archaeologists have no plans to salvage the ships, as they're said to be better preserved in the sea. And that's your international news around the world in 5.
Interesting discovery there. Many thanks, Juliana. Coming tops at the Nigeria Prize for Literature, promoted by the Nigeria LLNG Limited, gives a form of validation to the published works. And that's the submission of winners of the Prize for Literature that a money tag of $100,000. Former winners and the 2019 winner were part of a discussion at the Lagos Book and Art Festival.
It is an evening of interaction with 3 past winners and the 2019 winner of the Nigeria LNG Prize for Literature in the children's literature genre at the Lagos Book and Art Festival for the Nigeria LNG. This is its contribution to culture and the need to encourage young people.
It's wonderful that in different years we have different focuses that we bring to it. It's wonderful to have children as a focus this year.
For foremost author, 89-year-old Mabel Shegun, who was a co-winner in 2007 in the children's literature genre, says the love for reading is dismally low, but there is hope.
Nowadays, young people don't want to read. Some people say it's because of television. Some people say, well, there are other distractions and so on. So, on account of that now, this young man has written Boom Boom. And I think it's one of the best books I have read.
For the joint winner in 2007, a fellow woman and educator, Akachi Adimora Ezegbo, shares how winning the LLNG prize is a form of validation.
It was a kind of affirmation of my ability. That's what I thought. I don't usually write for prize, to get prize. I write because I have a passion to write. But if I win a prize along the way, it makes me very happy.
And then the 2019 winner reads from the winning entry, Boom Boom.
My dad carried a boom boom in his arms and ran into the hospital. She was now screaming, crying, and speaking one after the other. Daddy, make it stop.
He also shares what the prize means to his writing.
Writing at the end of the day is subjective. Winning the prize also is subjective. There is no guarantee. But I say to myself, if I put in my work for the Nigeria Prize for Literature, it will give it the platform to get in front of some faces.
The Nigerian Prize for Literature rotates yearly amongst 4 literary genres: prose fiction, poetry, drama, and children's literature. The competition in 2020 will focus on prose fiction.